Welcome back. This is still the Polity reaching you live from Abuja. I'm in the studio now with Captain or Ambassador Captain Dabas Suleiman. He joins me now to do some justice to the matter I earlier stated. He is the Ambassador General, PUAN Unit Ambassadors of Nigeria. Good afternoon and welcome to the program. It's good to have you.
Pleasure.
It's been a while.
Yes, it is.
Hope you're good.
Oh, good.
All right. So let's start with, like I said before the program started, we'll be delving into the judgment and also the 100 days in office. But let's start with the judgment. I'd like to get your general thoughts on it, because what we really want to break down is the difference this time around and how it adds to our electoral process. You know, a lot of analysts have already hinted or explained that somehow the courts have become almost a constant part of our electoral process. Things don't just end at the polling units. The courts are always there almost all the time these days. So what difference do you think this makes in our journey for our electoral process? We saw that on Wednesday, that was the first time I believe that a PUPT judgment started in the morning and went all the way to 9 p.m. at night. I believe with the advent of the amended Electoral Act and all that added to that. So what do you think this does for us as a people and the evolution of our electoral process?
Well, thank you. See, you made a statement. You said election don't just, right now, our elections don't end at the polling unit, which is very bad for our democracy. Every election should be determined at the performance of every candidate at the polling unit. When elections are beginning to extend to litigations in courts, then the democratic process is becoming difficult for people to understand. And I must tell you that the last tribunal, the last judgment of the tribunal is something that my organization is very, very interested in, because we had a meeting some few months ago, last month actually, with the INEC chairman, with his commissioners. And we knew that in the last general elections, there are things that we have almost 1,000 CSOs registered with INEC. And I must tell you, like 70 to 80%, if I'm not wrong, that are not too happy with the conduct of the last elections. And we made that clear when we had that meeting. Of course, we have to move on. And then we came into the tribunal and the judgment with so many technicalities and all of that, which of course is not really good for our democracy. A lot of us has fought so hard to ensure that we have a democratic process in this country, because we believe that democracy is the best form of governance all over the world. And if we're beginning to allow things happen like this, I tell you, it will not really affect our democratic process, but the electorate will lose hope in the system. And we, the CSOs, our spirit, my very, very good colleague, Ambassador Prince Osage, has really lost hope, I must tell the truth, about our democratic process. In the last election, in the last meeting we had with the CSO had with the INEC chairman, he refused to attend because he said he might say things that he might not be happy about. And truly, we are not really happy, because we went out there to mobilize Nigerians, tell them what INEC told us, what we work with INEC together, and agree that this is a process that will be good for us. But it wasn't funny. Right now, a lot of them will call us and say, you promised us, you told us all this, and we don't have the office to meet with them. And that's what we told the INEC chairman. Going forward, we need to really look into our democratic process. The election result should not be moved to the court. It should be the polling unit. The election process should be determined at the polling unit.
All right, just about cutting there, how do you think INEC, the chairman, are looking at this situation? I asked because one of the issues that particularly the Labour Party presidential candidate brought up was transmission of results. Now, the question is, what you've described now about losing faith in the process and all that, INEC did say, by press releases, their guidelines that they would transmit electronically.
Sure.
But the Electoral Act actually, as the courts have now said and the courts have affirmed, the INEC doesn't have to transmit electronically. So this is what happened now. The law says they don't have to. It's up to them to decide. INEC said that they had decided, they told us that they were going to use it, But then, again, the law says you don't have to. It's up to you. So I guess the question is, nobody knows at what point INEC can decide when they don't want to anymore, if they've already announced. But I'm wondering, how do you think the management or whatever, how they are seeing it? Do they feel, well, the law is on our side? Or do they take note of those releases? We had Mr. Festus Okoye coming out repeatedly to say that there are plots going about that INEC will not transmit electronically, and they will debunk it, that no such thing is happening, we will transmit electronically. But again, they only said that, but the law did not say that. So do you think they are standing on that ground that, well, at the end of the day, we followed the law, you are the one that decided to take us seriously?
No, but let me tell you something. And then there's a deceive in the whole process. Not just Okoye that said that. The INEC chairman has told us that we will not relent in uploading results and transmitting them from the polling unit. That's polling unit level result we transmitted. If I and you agree on something, and then you got to a point and you decided to jettison what the agreement is, then you just lure me into the system. Probably you have an interior motive, and of course you want to use the law to fight whatever cause we are planning. Because if we agreed, the CSO, and that's why I told you that almost all the CSOs are angry. The reason is this: we don't care who wins election. Let the process be as seamless as we all plan. We've tried these things in Anambra, in Ondo, in Ekiti. We saw how it works. In Ekiti, we saw how it works. And in Oshun, also we saw how it works. Successful. And we are very happy that, yes, we have a process. Do you know how much money went into this process? Now, we jettison it. We don't even look at what was. You see, the process is that when there's an agreement between two parties, we should keep to this agreement. And if there is a problem at the tail end of executing this project, then we should know. But if I don't know, and you go around and turn it around and do whatever you want to do, I won't be happy, because a lot of pain, a lot of stress, and a lot of commitment and resources has gone into this. And we must look at it. So INEC is saying, okay, we have the rights to not to upload, not to transmit, or to transmit. It's okay, but we should be told from the on, because if we are observers and things are not done the way it is, of course you expect us to also tell the whole world the way it is. But like I said, a lot went wrong. And even INEC himself is not happy, because I spoke with a few of the directors of INEC officials who told me they are not happy, but they are civil servants and they can't speak on these issues. We are the ones to speak, and that's why we are speaking. And the truth is about it is that nobody is happy, including INEC itself is not happy, but something went wrong. And that is why, like I said, Nigerians are losing faith in our democratic process, and we should not allow that to happen too long, because we might not be able to have a democracy in the long run.
Oh, that's fair enough. I don't know if you can begin to, if possible, highlight some of these things that you feel need changes or that were challenges in this cycle, and also, how you think things could develop. Take for instance, since this general election, we've not had any of the standalone or off-season elections, like they are called. We have Kogi, Imo, and Bayelsa coming up. How do you think what we've seen now will play out in these states, when the time comes? But before we get there, what are the challenges you have spotted that you feel need to be worked on?
Yes, the challenges with regards to the general election, the last general elections, the challenges are election result not uploaded and transmitted directly from the polling unit. Because the reason why we are all happy about this process is because it will cut 90% of election fraud and manipulation. It will cut 90% of it. Because when you upload results, I always tell people that elections are not rigged at the polling unit. It's difficult to rig election at the polling unit. Where elections are rigged, the process where you move the result from the polling unit to the collation center, from point A polling unit to point B collation center, local government collation center. These are the processes where you rig election. And from here to the state collation center, those are where they rig election. It is difficult to rig election at the polling unit. And that is why we, polling unit ambassador of Nigeria, we rely so much at whatever happens at the polling unit and transmit it directly to wherever it's going to at the server, because that will have cut almost 90% of all these malpractice and rigging. So if we can remain on this path of ensuring that results from the polling unit are uploaded and transmitted to the server.
So do you think the lawmakers might have dropped the ball, with that stipulation? Because if you recall, how we got to that was that initially the lawmakers were saying there's no network, we can't do that. We are not going to allow electronic transmission. Then another argument came, that it's possible. Pardon me, it was even INEC. It's INEC themselves who were insisting
it's
that
possible.
We can't do it. Don't church change us. We can't do it. So the middle ground, I believe, at that time was we would leave it up to INEC instead of putting it in the law that electronic transmission is important or necessary, must be done. They decided to make it electronic transmission. The commission can decide electronic or otherwise.
Sure.
So do you think they dropped the ball there by giving INEC that option?
Well, that option given to INEC, like you said, there was deliberation. We can do it, we cannot, you can't do it, and all of that. But even before INEC accepted that, yes, we can do it, we went into a lot of research and we found that, yes, it's possible. It's not just only INEC that agreed on that. It was the CSO, in combination of CSOs and INEC, after what we saw in Anambra, what we saw in Ekiti, and what we saw in Oshun, and we say, yes, this can be done. And INEC accepted it. And we said, okay, let's go into the field to ensure that we do this. So the lawmakers know what it is. Let me tell you that probably, politicians, if you give politicians the opportunity, they mess up the whole thing. That's just the truth about it. The politicians will always find a way to cut corners and all of that. But you see, those who feel the pain are the electorate. Those who feel the pain are those who observe these elections, the CSOs. Those are the ones who feel the pain. The politicians doesn't feel anything, because all they want is to win election, and the next thing is to win the next elections and all of that. And if we give them that opportunity, they will always mess up this thing. That's why INEC has to be an independent body. And right now I don't even say an independent body in the INEC, honestly, because even there, like I said, INEC officials, most of them are not even happy what happened. So they are not even independent. So the problem is that we must have an independent body that will be able to take laws, take action when the need arises. And that's where the problem is, because we don't have a strong, independent body that can say, yes, we can do this. And of course, if we don't, before you know it, it will go to the litigation and the courts. The lawyers are there to make their money, because it is now who has the money and all of that that plays around. And so our concern is, if we must keep democracy safe, we must do the right thing before we lose it. And when we lose it, it will be difficult for us to get back to it.
All right. Do you think there was any other thing that needs some level of check in the process?
Yeah, like I said, we need to get people who are competent and has great credibility to run the commission. People who their yes is yes and their no is no. Whatever happens, they stand on their words. If we have people like this, I speak with you, my brother, with a pain in my heart. What happened in the last election? I could not talk to my ambassadors for a very long time, because I never believed it. Because we went into that election, remember that we sponsored ourselves. We paid from our pocket. We sponsored our people. No, INEC didn't give us anything. The government didn't give us anything. Not even the international observers or partners give us anything. We mop up this money ourselves. So you know how painful it will look when you went into that and then it was subchanged. That is very painful. And I tell you, we have not been recovered from it, I must tell you. But the truth is, going forward, we must change the way we conduct election in this country and ensure that things are done right. If not, I tell you, when the people that see the electorate, they lose hope and confidence in the process, you will not see them there. And that will be bad for democracy.
Oh, that is, a sad note. But like we said, we're trying to proffer solutions to these issues. But I'd just like to thought, I don't know if you have any specific thoughts on some specifics of the judgment, say the issue of 25%, the issue of
forgery.
Okay, I might have to check again for what the court said, particularly on forgery, but it did say as regards the forfeiture of about $460,000 for drug-related offenses did not count as a criminal case.
It doesn't count?
Yes, they said it was a civil one, so it was that what? Okay, yeah, that it
But if I may ask, if it's tied to drugs, the process of drugs is not a criminal offense.
Yeah, but they said that for something to be considered criminal, they needed evidence of arraignment, of arrest, of arraignment, of trial, and then of possibly judgment.
Let me tell you, these are technical words and all of that, and like the 25% I talked about in the FCT, which of course has been in existence before now. Today I heard in the news, was it yesterday, that the FCT are asking for governor, for senators, for House of Reps, just like other states, since it's not different from other states, then of course you should give that to them, right? If you give a judgment and say FCT is not different from other states, it's just like a state or something, I don't understand how the judgment came up, then you should just follow suit, just like the way other states have their governors, their 3 senators, their reps, House of Reps, and all of that. You should follow suit that way. And of course, that demand is very important. If the judgment comes in that way and they're demanded, I think government should look into that and give it to them. But I really don't want to talk much about this judgment thing, because for me, we must be very careful the way I'm sending this to our judges, our lawyers, and all of that. That, you see, they say the court is the last hope of the common man. And if the common man cannot get justice, there's no way he can get justice anymore. And we are not all spiritual, like a pastor or an imam when I say let's leave it for God. We are not all imams or pastors. If the court cannot give justice to the common man, you don't expect the common man to keep quiet. He might expand his reasons and thoughts to some other things. Our law, as of today, is not helping the democratic process. And I'm going to tell you the truth. If green is green, let it be green. And if black is black, let it be black. Let us not try to twist and bring technicalities into our judgment. Because we are all human beings. And when I'm hot, and I expect that the court should give me justice for what I believe in, and what I believe that the court also know, and the Nigerians and the people also know, and the court is not giving me that justice, it's as painful as death. Today, I must tell the truth, our politicians and our legal system are not helping our democratic process. They are killing this democratic process. And I tell you, it's bleeding. This democratic process in Nigeria is bleeding. It will get to a point where it will be a standstill. Those who are going to suffer it are even the politicians themselves, because that's where they get their money from. Yeah, some of them don't even have anything doing. They don't even have business. But they will be the one to suffer it. And the judges will take after them, because the judges are not helping the system. That's what it is. And that's how we have to say it clearly. And the politicians, of course, they can do anything. But the judges are supposed to be the last hope of the common man. And they're not doing what they're supposed to do. They're not doing the right thing. And if this democracy fails, if it fails today, we're going to hold the judges to it. And we're going to hold the politicians to it. That's my message to Nigerians.
All right, that's fair enough. When trying to get the right things to be done, but then some would say that the courts, so to speak, or the judiciary, puts such a high threshold to reach to overturn an election because of the implications that come from removing an incumbent president. Well, some persons have suggested that some ways it should be done in a way that issues are resolved before the president is sworn in.
Yeah.
Well, these are some of the suggestions to take. But now let's move over now to what we have on ground. We do still have a president. He is active currently, and even though there's still the contenders have decided to take their matter to the Supreme Court, he is still the president until his tenure runs out or the courts decide otherwise. So the question now is, taking a look at President Tinubu's 100 days plus in office, it actually clocked 100 days, I believe, on the day of the tribunal, and it got swept under because of the whole razzmatazz. So I'd like to get your general thoughts before we delve into specific issues. A lot of people say, when it has happened, get with the program and hope that your country comes out better for it. So far, how would you say the president has been doing?
Well, President Tinubu, I would say, in the 100 days in office, he has done quite well. First, one of the challenges he has, which of course I was against it in the first place, is this removal of fuel subsidy in the first day of his inauguration. And I believe that that decision, even that is rational, that I believe that he should have consulted his predecessors, because they would have done the same thing, but they knew that, the problem of the fuel subsidy in this country. Once fuel increases in price, the pain falls back to the people. The people bear the burdens. And today, my brother, Nigerians are suffering because of that removal of subsidy. Yes, we are against it. Right from day one, I was always against this subsidy and all of that. I was against us paying for subsidy, and I was stand with the removal of the subsidy. But it has to be done strategically so that the people will not suffer. Today, people are suffering. Hunger is in the land. Everything has skyrocketed in prices. How do you survive? So 100 days in office of His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu, it's I would say it's fair now, because I think the people are beginning to get used to the system in terms of the prices, the fuel price right now. And just of recent, 2 days or 3 days ago, that he went and brokered that agreement with the visa ban and all of that. So it's a plus for him, and I think relatively the security situation right now, it's a little bit not too as harsh as bad like was in the past administration. I will give it to him that he has done relatively well. Say probably I'll give it like 4 over 10.
Well, 4 over 10, that's not a pass mark.
Well, it's not, because the situation right now, people are, like I said, it boils down to the removal of subsidy. And 100 days and 4 years, and you have 40, I expect that he should be able to do well before the expiration of 4 years. Right now, I base this statistics on the poverty level on ground right now. People are really suffering. And who are you leading? You are leading the people. And if the people are suffering and there is hunger in the land, it boils down to the statistic of right now that we're taking. Say, okay, people are not doing very well. And also, see, the government has been talking about palliatives for the removal of subsidies and all of that. How many palliatives have we sent? State governors are trying to provide succor for their people. But the federal government hasn't done anything yet. I haven't seen anything from the federal government about this palliative.
What about the 5 billion,
5 billion was released to I understand that the government gave 2 billion. And I like that part of it, that starting going forward, they gave 2 billion to see how the 2 billion will be managed before releasing the other funds. And you need to give report. And I like that strategy, because if you give them the 5 billion, politicians will just share it among themselves and all of that. So I like that administration. I like the Tinubu administration for giving them 2 billion to start with, and you give us record of how you spend this 2 billion, then we cannot look forward to. But I also want to tell you that the civil servants, and I'm not sure we have up to, do we even have to up to 100,000 civil servants in this country? I don't think so. I don't think so. If we have maybe a little bit more. But these civil servants have been going through this pain after the fuel subsidy removal. Their transport to their place of work. The money they received before, you know that this money is not even enough. Now people have to go through serious challenges. Transport and feeding and other responsibilities of theirs. I expect that government should come quickly to their aids. Quickly to their aids. If you are able to cushion that effect from the civil servant, you'll be able to balance up the system a bit before it's now. Because what gets to the civil servant, it to move further to touch the lives of other persons and all of that. So I was expecting at this moment that the government should have tried to see how they can cushion this effect from the civil servant, give them a soft landing, something that can help them, because they still go to work 5 days a week and they're still paying. I don't even know. I have a civil servant in my house. I will have to give money every single day, even before. How much does she earn? Even before the removal of subsidy. It's already my responsibility. And now, an additional. So I think there's a lot that government need to do to cushion this, so that this fuel subsidy removal will help mitigate the situation we have right now. People, I must say, people are suffering.
All right. I just want, when you talk about this, it reminds me of what happened about a week or two ago. Former governor of Ekiti State, Fayemi, was at an event where I was, the birthday of Professor Udenta. And he mentioned how perhaps one of the way forward to strengthening democracy is that we shouldn't have a winner-takes-all type of democracy, where you win 38%, we're referring to President Tinubu, and you get 100% of the government. That it should be something where stakeholders can come in and a multi-party kind of arrangement. And he cited an example of why it is important. President Jonathan was right there at the event, and he said that while his party, back then, the ACN, they knew that removal of fuel subsidy was the best plan, they fought against it because of politics. That's what he said. They played politics with Occupy Nigeria and all of that. And now, when you describe this, what we're seeing right now with the suffering and removal of subsidy, it makes you wonder, what do you make of that? The point he was trying to make, that the reason opposition would fight even policies that they believe is good for the country is politics. Was that a fair thing to say, or is it really that governments should start considering uniting parties? Is it right for opposition to do something like that?
You see, the word of the former governor of Ekiti State, with all due respect, you see, I always tell people that if you fear the devil, then you have to fear even politicians more. Politicians are very dangerous people. Look at it. They knew it was a good policy of removal of the subsidy. And you know how much they fought this policy. You know how much, even including the current president, how much he fought this policy to ensure that this doesn't work. And when Buhari came in, Buhari said it countless times, even at Sheraton and Transcorp Hilton, before he became president. There is nothing like subsidy. No, subsidy does not exist and all of that. He said a lot about that. And when he came, he was paying subsidy. Just imagine. I am not against, like I said, I am one of those who fought for this subsidy to be removed, because I know it's a payday for some of these big top politicians and corporations and all of that. Owners of big corporations, I know. But my concern is that we must put things in place. We have refineries that has not been working. 3 good refineries in Norfolk that has not been working. Why don't we fix our refineries? Somebody says, even if you fix the refineries, that the fuel price will not come down. Then I'm beginning to wonder. I want to ask you, my brother, I farm Gari in my farm. And somebody is telling me that the Gari from China is cheaper than the Gari from my farm. I have crude and I have refinery and I refine the oil here. And you are telling me that my fuel will not be as cheap as the one I imported. I find it difficult to understand that kind of strategy. Nigeria, like the president is doing now, which I give to him, ensure that our refineries are working. If our refineries are working 100%, I tell you, Nigerians will not be suffering what they are suffering today. And if he has promised that, like he has promised Port Harcourt to start in December, I hope, and I believe, I hope that these will not be sabotaged, because all this period is just sabotage. Those who are benefiting from the importation of fuel are the ones sabotaging it. We know all of these things. But I believe it will have that political will and that feeling for the common Nigerian. That woman who is in Kwara suffering. That man who is in Benue crying every day. And that lady who wants to go to the market, the high cost of transportation will not let her go to the market to sell just a small mango or orange. If he can have that pain for those people and the political will to ensure that whatever comes, those refineries will work. And that we will give to him. I tell you, Nigerians are looking forward to see the man who will come and fix our refinery, the man who will come and fix our electricity, and the man who will come and make this country become a manufacturing hub again. Like we used to have those days. These are the kind of people we are looking at for. And I believe Tinubu, even with the challenges he has, even those in power were against his presidency. Now that he's there, I believe that he can jettison all of these things and concentrate to see how he can make Nigeria great again.
Well, that's fair enough. Do you think this was in any way shown by how long or how well it took to get his ministers? You know, he was just under the deadline, and when he sent that first batch, the second batch actually didn't come in before the deadline. Do you think that's an indication of anything, or perhaps it is just a case of him picking the best and needing time? Generally, what are your thoughts on the names, the cabinet you're saying? Are you impressed, or do you have other thoughts?
Well, the truth is, some of those ministers are beginning to perform, and some of them, you see, I will leave it to their time of expirations, so that we can now look and do a check on how far they've gone. But I think today we can see the former governor of Ebonyi State, Umahi, who brought up a strategy that I think is something that I still trying to figure out how that is possible. He's going to build a road that will take 4 hours from Lagos to Abuja. And you know that one of the challenges we have in this country is our road infrastructure. Road infrastructure has been so bad. I used to know when I was in the States, there's this road we call 405. 405, once you're on 405, you can get to any states in the United States. All you need to do is exit and all of that. So I just look forward to seeing where we can have such a plan, where we have roads that are so wide and that can cover all the 36 states and the FCT. So that once you're on that road, just like your airport road, as good as the airport road is, you have that such road very wide. And I'm sure that that once you're on that road, you can get to any state in this country. All you need to do is just to exit while you're close to the states. If you do that, you will have helped the road infrastructure. Look at air transport today is very expensive. But a lot of Nigerians like to travel by road just because of the insecurity and the bad roads that we have. So I brought up that idea, and I look forward to see that come to fruition. That's one. And I see what the FCT minister is also doing. First, I would need to also advise him. He has to be very careful, because even his predecessors, not that they don't want to do those things, there are reasons. You don't, as government, you don't infest poverty, pain, or suffering to your citizen as a government. No, you cushion the effects. So they don't look at people who have been going through. If I have to demolish a village, then I will have to make a provision. It is my responsibility to provide a provision, and then of course the people can move conveniently. You demolish a village, and of course they don't have a place to stay, and they become nuisance in the city. Some of them become criminals, and you're trying to curtail the number of criminals in the city, and yet you're creating more. So I think we need to, as a government, we need to find a way to ensure that people are not in pain due to our actions or inaction. People are not suffering because of what we have done. And let's find a solution. If I have to demolish a place, or I have to move people from, like what we have in, let me give you an example now. We have something at Lugbe, the Lugbe axis. They call it what they call that place now, timber shade. That timber shade has been there for long. Now, my brother, the problem is that the government has no need for that place at this moment. The government went and demolished these places. The people are stranded. People at this hard condition, people who sell oranges, some people who sell vegetables and all of that, they have no place to go. And the situation is critical. The economic is bad. People are hungry. And you are not in need of that place at that moment. Why demolishing a place when you have no need for it? If you have no need for it, immediately you demolish and you're beginning to put infrastructure. Oh, good. I give you a clap for that. But when you have no need, you just put the people in distress, in pain, in sorrow. I do not agree with that.
What about this, the rationale that he's just trying to stick to the Abuja master plan? That is not personal, but if it's not in the plan, it has to go.
If it has to go, make a provision. The truth about it is that, if not because of government waste, government can say, do we even have, you know the deficit of housing in Nigeria today? If government said, we want this, then go somewhere and build houses. And then take it. So do you know that even a market woman will sell small provisions in her shop can go into mortgage plan with the government and said, okay, instead of throwing her out there, you build, even if it's a 1-bedroom or 2-bedroom, or you give it to them. Like the Chinese will do. Go to an empty virgin land and build houses, even skyscrapers, and provide all the amenities for them and put those people there. When I was in China, my friend was staying in one of those houses and he's paying just little stuff as mortgage. The government should not make its citizens suffer. That's my concern. Government should not make its citizens suffer. Government should provide amenities for its citizens. Government should make sure that her citizens are happy when they hear about government is taking an action. They support even the government. If government is giving you pay, you will not want to support that government. That's just the truth about it. So government should be in the good book of the people. Good book of the people is very important, because these are the people that you are serving. These are the people that you are working for. Let them be happy. Just like you are happy, let them be happy. Provide amenities for them, and they will be very grateful to you when they are praying to their God and asking their God to even continue to help you wherever you are. But when you bring pain to them, I tell you, even their prayers can go against you.
Well, that's interesting. I know, being a religious country that we are, that's something that the president would take to heart. So maybe we can start to round off with this. We've seen 100 days plus, and some persons can begin to extrapolate and say whatever we've seen during this period, we can use it to predict or forecast what is to come. So I'd like to get yours now, really. What do you think what we've seen is showing us of what is to come? And whatever that may be, how do you think it should be? You know, if it doesn't fit exactly how it should be, what do you think the president can begin to take a look at and, you know, effect?
You see, like I said, I give this administration, after 100 days in office, I give it a 40% mark.
Right.
Reason, like I said, is because of the poverty in the land. The people are suffering, the removal of subsidy, the palliative has no point, and there's no cushion effect yet. So this has amounted to this judgment at this point in time. But I also see a light at the end of the tunnel. I see President Tinubu doing very well in his first tenure, 4 years. I see the plans that he has are laudable plans. If they are implemented, these plans will be, and especially the currency policy that is going to come up very soon and all of that, those plans are going to reject the Nigerian economy and shoot it to where I believe that after 4 years, this administration will have done very well and we're beginning to clap for them and all of that. But also, I want the administration to concentrate on some few areas that I feel that if the administration should be able to do that, it will have achieved a lot. One, electricity. This country is suffering for electricity. And let me tell you, Even God himself said, there'll be light. And there was light. That was the first creation. Because he knows the importance of light. These international organizations and all these countries around, if they have no electricity, they will have not achieved what they have achieved. If the government will concentrate on providing electricity, today we are talking about 4,000, 3,000 megawatts, and that's what. If this government can say, let's go into a contract with Siemens, with any other organization that can provide us 30,000 megawatts, 40,000 megawatts. Nigerians, let me tell you, Nigerians are very creative, very innovative people. They're beginning to create things because of the availability of electricity. You see things beginning to change. Nigerians are very blessed with that. So I want to tell the government to concentrate on electricity first. Second, they should look at this fuel subsidy. These refineries. Let's set our refineries working. Because the hike in dollar affect everything. Even the pepper woman who has nothing to do with dollar will tell you dollar has increased, the prices have increased and all of that. So let's see our refineries working. Let the price of the fuel comes down. And I tell you, this will also help. And then the road, if the roads are there and insecurity, these are the four things I am saying that if this government will concentrate on them at its 4 years, it will be a government that the people will be so proud of.
All right, these are things we'll be looking out for. Hopefully they get priority. Thank you so much for coming. It's been a pleasure.
Really. Yeah.
All right, that's all we'll take on this segment of the program. We'll go on a short break and bring you some reports. And when we return, the Polity continues. Stay with us. We'll be back shortly.